Hello and welcome to Boomer Bust NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. We are live on YouTube right now. Thank you to everyone that's joined us so far. Joining my usual co-host Shug, and we are looking forward to Week 10. We've got all the news coming up on Josh Allen, where we think OBJ will end up, and the usual start-em, sit-ems and all other news. We've got it covered here tonight. But we'll not hang around right now. And Shug, I'm coming straight to you this one, and we're flying straight out the traps. Who are you liking this week in fantasy football?
My first start I'm going to go with is the captain, Christian Kirk, Kirky Puffer. I'm going to go with him. He's had at least 5 targets in all but one game. He's recovered well from the London trip where he was poor in that game, but he seems to be purring along nicely. I was sad to see him go from my team a while ago. I had to make the trade to get CMC in, but he's starting to really get the form up again that you know kind of made Drew desperate to get him in our league anyway. And I think he was hot proper in a lot of leagues, so he's my first starting for this week.
Yeah, I think, did we have him as one of our sit-ems last week? Am I right in saying that?
I'm not sure.
We got it completely wrong again anyway. So
as usual.
You are banging money there.
I know, but he started the season like a house on fire, took a dip, and then last week seemed to bounce back. Was it 18 points last week from 21.6 from week 9? So no doubt about it. I think he'll have a good week. They've got a good matchup there as well, and hopefully Trevor Lawrence is starting to turn the wee corner there, and they're starting to get things together at the Jags. But now I'm going to look across, and my first start for week 10 is an easy one. It's a straightforward one. I hate to go for the obvious, but I feel like this one is absolutely screaming out, and you'd be crazy not to start Chris Olave. They're playing the Steelers, who just want to ship points left, right, and centre. They're also number 32 in the league against the wide receiver, and that's not changing at all. They're a very poor side this season. The last time he scored less than double-digit points was actually week 1, where he scored 9.10, but you've got to remember back then Michael Thomas was available, Jarvis Landry was firing, and since then things have changed. Michael Thomas potentially out for the season, but it looks like Jarvis Landry's still limited in practice, so everything's pointing that Olave is just going to continue his form as wide receiver 1 there, and I really expect the Saints to turn it on against the Steelers.
Got to agree with you there. I think Big Olive Garden, I think he'll do well for you. He was another one, was my team at the start of the season, let him go. Listen,
that's
sometimes
a shame.
You have to. But as you said, with the Michael Thomas injury, he's starting to get consistent targets. I expect the Saints to win this week as well. So in the leagues, if you're looking to bring him in now would be the advice, because I think he's only going to go upwards in the next few weeks. So this is the last chance to get him probably at a decent value in the trades.
Yeah, sitting WR16 right now, which probably represents where he is, considering that it's not been consistent at quarterback for the Saints. So he's been fabulous for me. He's been an excellent pickup. And who did you get? Jarvis Landry?
I can't remember that particular trade.
Unlucky, mate. You were on the drink that night.
No problem.
I know, but we've got plenty to get through, and if you're watching live right now, keep the comments coming. Send in your trade questions, any of your lineup dilemmas, and we'll try and answer them as best as we can. But moving on, Shug, there's plenty of games and some nice favourable matchups this week. Who's your second start-em for week 10?
My second start-em, I've went with Gino Smith. 41 points, I think, in the last couple of games. I think we're starting to really respect the Seahawks, and he's just been a constant performer in there. I think he's got a good matchup again this week. I fancy him again. He's been very consistent and quietly kind of went about his business, and now he seems to be taking off as one of the performing quarterbacks in the league. So I'm going to put him in there as my starting.
Yeah, from what I see, they're going to have Lockett fit, Metcalf fit. King Kenny Walker's been unbelievable, playing against a Bucs side that is very hard to judge. In terms of defensively, so no wonder you put him in there. He's been a solid performer this season, and I actually seen a slide. I can't quite remember all the information on it, but it compared both how the trade worked out with Russell Wilson, who they received, and what the Broncos gave up for Russell Wilson, and it's a shocker. It's an all-time shocker. If I've not got it to hand, like I say, but if you're online, go and find it. It's an eye-opener. The Seahawks have won that trade hands down.
Yeah.
But looking around the fixtures, I like the matchup for Cordarelle Patterson. That's tonight, so it might not exactly favour our listeners tomorrow morning. But for anyone watching live right now, that Falcons v Panthers game tonight is to be played in an absolute monsoon. Now, I know Cordarelle Patterson owners were absolutely delighted last week. It looked like he was going to get a shared snap share. Worked out a lot better than that. He got 2 rushing touchdowns, scoring an absolute ton of points. The Panthers are 29th in the league versus the run, so considering the circumstances with the hurricane there, both teams are going to run the ball all night. And for me, Cordarelle Patterson's going to do his play on the field. He has got the lot, so yeah, get him in your team, get him started. He's a favourite of yours, isn't he, Shug?
I probably agree with you there. Again, he's been in my team. Listen, I'm not going to be too critical myself. These things happen when you make a lot of trades. Guys come and guys go. I'm happy with my team just now, but he was one that I let go as part of our trade. Again, I think your only downfall is that usually when we pick a Thursday night game, by the time this pod goes out, it totally is ruined already. So that happened to me, I think, with, who was it?
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson. I took him, and then the next morning before the pod went out, I read the article on the game the night before, and it said the fans were booing him. So that's how that could go down. So,
unbelievable. It doesn't hold out much hope for Gino Smith in Munich this weekend, does it?
Nah.
You've cursed him. The Shuggy curse. But nah, when I look at that, I just think it's going to be a horrible game to watch tonight. Not the greatest of teams. The Falcons have been decent. The Panthers have been horrible. Probably see Baker Mayfield come back in there, but both teams I really expect to just run the ball. But anything else looking around the league? Any other players you like their matchup?
Nah, no chance. That's my only two.
Yeah, right, good. We're glad you're only cussing too, but flip side of that,
Aye.
anybody you're not liking, they're bound to have a good game there.
My first sit, I'm going to go Clyde Edwards Helaire, the Bully Wee. It's a Chiefs offense. It's packed with options, so he's not produced in recent weeks. So for me, because of the amount of options they've got and the way they're playing, he's a very droppable player in there. He's one of those ones that you kind of put on the edge because you think the team he's part of. But my thing is, I just think he's very droppable. We could see him kind of phased out, really, that Chiefs offense. I don't really see him getting many points from here on in. Didn't have a good week last week. Don't see it happening again.
Yeah, it's crazy at the Chiefs just now, considering the running back situation. With Mahomes at quarterback, they've never been that team that just runs the ball down the throat of their opposition. Like, I can't remember off the top of my head the last running back to really do it there. Maybe Kareem Hunt, and then he got hunted out the door. You look at the running backs just now. Edwards Helaire hasn't done it. Isaiah Pacheco, a lot of hope for him, hasn't done it. I think the last time he scored double digits was week 1, and that was in garbage time. And probably the most productive that slid under the radar that isn't even fantasy productive is Jerick McKinnon. So you're absolutely right. Edwards Helaire, I'm not.
Edwards Helaire, I think, was this his third year, is it? Second or third year?
His third year. Yeah, I drafted him 2 years ago.
When he came in as a rookie, he was highly tipped and highly regarded, and they thought he'd really kick on. He's just not really done it, has he?
Nah, not at all. Not at all. But you're bang on the money with that. I don't expect a big weekend. I can see him getting phased out at some point. But I'm fully agreeing with you there. But one guy I'm hating this weekend, it's another running back, and it's a guy I've spoke about for all the wrong reasons this season, Najee Harris. I'm glad he's out my team. He was poisonous in the dressing room. He wasn't pulling his weight. And last week, maybe 12 points. Now, you don't expect that from a running back that's a late first-round pick in your draft. It's been a terrible season for him, and I'm going to say this hand on heart. He's been the biggest letdown of all of fantasy in this year. everything points there as well that Jalen Waddle's going to get more touches, so it feels like they're a wee bit fed up with him. They're seeing what I've been seeing since week 1. They're starting to see it. Get me in the door there, Mike Tomlin out. But Jalen Warren, if you're looking around your fantasy league and he's still in waivers, he could be a good pickup. He could be one to pick up, see how he does this week and take it from there, be a wee bit patient with him. But in terms of Harris, he's up against the Saints that we spoke about there with Olave. I think they sit 14th in the league against the run, so better than more of half of the league. All season he's averaged 10.9 points, so don't expect much production, especially when the coach is talking about another running back getting touches. So for me, it's time to drop Najee Harris, if you've not already.
I think you're spot on there. I think the patience has ran out with him, to be fair, and I think it was time to trade some time ago and get rid of him, but I don't really see him lighting anything up before the end of the season. He is going to be phased out, I think.
Yeah, good. Not before time. See you later. Anyway, mate, I'm going to move on. Who else are you not really liking their matchup of this week?
Deon Jackson, I think struggling. I think now reading he's struggling with a knee injury, so I think he might play, but he could easily kind of break down. He's struggling with injury. I don't see him putting up many points. He's been one I would be keeping an eye on for your team. I wouldn't be relying on him anyway. So waiting to hear the news on him if he is out. But I think if he does play, I think it will be nowhere near the sharpness and the level expected. I don't expect him to put up many points for you again this week.
Yeah, it's one of the ones where you pick up someone when you kind of pick them up and stash them when one of the other running backs is injured. Obviously, we spoke about Nyheim Hines getting traded away, Zach Moss coming in. We'll cover the injury situation with Jonathan Taylor and Deon Jackson later in the show. But yeah, Jackson's one of the ones, completely flashed in his first week, and last week, 11 attempts for 3.6 points. The Colts are a poor side, so they're not one to bet on this year. And Jackson, I'd be dropping them. Sorry, Miss Jackson.
Not bad for you.
I've been hanging about with you too much. I can see you laughing too, David. My next sit-em, all right, Courtland Sutton. Here is a guy I was praising 3 or 4 weeks ago, saying that he was getting all the targets under Russell Wilson, and he has fell off a cliff and then some.
Yeah.
All right. He was on a bye last week. The last 3 games before that, right, get this, 6 catches in 3 games. His last 3 games were 6 catches, and I think he got a combined total of fantasy points 11. That is poor. That's got to have you worried if you're a Courtland Sutton owner. You would have thought you were banking in recently.
Get him out.
I know, and everything points, right? I've took a wee risk here, and it's maybe not the most obvious, but for the reasons I've said, it is. But he's up against the Titans, who are 30th in the league against the wide receiver. But for the reasons I've said, the production's not there, the consistency's not there. They do have a decent run coming up in the fantasy playoffs, so he isn't one to put to waivers. I'd keep him, but I'd keep him on your bench for now till you're getting to the week 15, 16 games. But for this week, Courtland Sutton, just get him on your bench, get him out that starting team. He's not for me. If I'm wrong, come back and tell me, because I enjoy that. But yeah, for me, Courtland Sutton, get out of there. Are you agreeing with me or not?
I'm agreeing with you. You rabbit on too much, so get to the point.
Press fast forward. We've got questions coming in thick and fast on the comments. Keep them coming, guys. We're not ignoring you. We've got them all down. We'll get to them later in the show, and we'll just keep getting through what we've got noted down, mate. All right, so we'll start to move on, okay? We're going to go into what we label Toasty's trades. Toasty being the guy in our league who's actually been a virus in the comments, who will offer you anybody for your best players, even if they are injured. So I actually made a trade earlier on in the week. I traded away Brian Robinson and I brought in Dalton Schultz. Now, this week with the buys, I had Tyler Conklin out. So desperate need of a tight end, and we know how scarce they can be in their prime real estate when it comes to fantasy football just now. I thought Dalton Schultz had real upside. In terms of Dak Prescott, he seems to be his target. I know Schultz is sitting outside the 32 for tight ends at the moment, But I think in that Cowboys offense, especially when CD Lamb seems to be the only target that he really throws to, Dalton Schultz, I think I've seen a few people quote him as his safety blanket. Brian Robinson, Shug, he's not done it, has he? Yet.
Nah, not at all. I think you've came it well. Sorry, in this trade. I think I like to look at the Dallas Cowboys at the start of the season. Obviously, Dak getting injured, they didn't really start the season well. Now with him back, they're starting to really hit a bit of form. As you said, Schultz is he's hitting a bit of form. 7 targets again last week for 74 yards. Consistency, a hard thing to find in tight ends, and I think you've picked on a good one there. So I'd probably agree you got the better of this trade.
Yeah, in terms of Brian Robinson, I thought, see, before he gets shot, I've got to be careful what I say here. Before he gets shot, everything pointed to that he was going to get the starting role there. Aye. And then he's come back. I thought he'd done all right when he came back, but Antonio Gibson seems to have just snatched up that number 1 spot at running back for the Commanders. I thought they might have went running back by committee, but that's not what I'm looking for in their running back. I managed to pick up Jeff Wilson as well. So, yeah, that's what I'm going for. So what are we saying? Have I won this trade, thumbs up, or lost it, thumbs down?
I would say thumbs up. You're quite right to get shot here.
I'm not going to say I lost the trade. Of course, it's thumbs up. But no, we'll move on to the next trade. But before we do, if you're tuning in just now and you're a new listener, please subscribe, guys. It makes all the difference. Make sure we get the numbers up, keep the listeners coming, and oh my God. For anyone that's listening just now and can't see this, we've just had a tweet come in from no one other than Toasty himself saying Brian Robinson had his shot.
That was a cheap shot for Toasty.
That is out of order. Or should I say it was bang out of order?
You're going to get us fired.
Right, we move on. Next trade, Shug. What have you had this week in the way of incomings or outcomings, possibly?
This is what I offered Jordan. Now, unfortunately, he's been very, very stubborn and not moving on this, but I felt it was a fairly good...
here.
Yep.
On you go. Just go.
I thought this is a fairly good trade now. He's no starting Tua, which, first of all, I think is an absolute crime. Tua's sitting on his bench. Tua's no happy. Tua's no built for the bench. So I've offered him Kirk Cousins, quarterback, another quarterback that's done well for me. And Lazard has performed for the most part well for me. He's been good. And I've went for Tua and Mooney. I think that's a pretty fair deal. I think I'm being reasonable. But Jordan in our league, he's dragging his heels on this one.
You're going to hate this. I wholeheartedly agree with Jordan for rejecting that trade, mate.
You would.
I'm going to give you the reason. So, Alan Lazard, he's had that lingering shoulder injury. I know that he seems to be the only target for Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers can't seem to hit a donkey in the arse with a banjo right now. Kirk Cousins, he's been good, but he's not Tua, mate. Come on.
You know that yourself. Get Tua at home.
he needs to find a new home, but Darnell Mooney as well. Darnell Mooney has come to life the past 3 or 4 weeks. Justin Fields has lit a fire under him with his own form. That is why I feel you need to go back in there with something else. You need to offer a wee bit more if you want the 2 players.
I'll see what I can do. I'll look at my team and see what I can do.
Right. So I'm going to say for this one, thumbs down. Well in, Jordan, mate. See ya. But have you been offered anything this week?
Well, I've been offered a few, but one that really stood out to me was Toasty, again, a guy in our group, always seems to chime in. He offers you some ridiculous trades. Now, one that he's offered me this week that particularly stood out because of how ridiculous it was, is he actually offered me his kicker, the fish, Bass. He offered him in return for the Bills' defence.
Right. Shug, see if there was a Hall of Fame for terrible trades, rejected or not. This is up there.
Aye, absolutely.
This is absolutely up there.
Absolutely. If he thinks I'm going to take a kicker for, I think they're the second top defence in the league?
Two or three. Let's check it out. I'll tell you just now.
They might be down to number 3. They're up there anyway.
Let's have a wee peek here, right? We'll not keep anyone waiting. Right, Bills defense are currently sitting number 4, actually.
Number 4, if they dropped, I'll accept the trade then. I mean, that trade is that bad. Producer Dave has either just decided to not show it the respect having a graphic, or he's sleeping. One of the two.
he's absolutely chucked it. Nah, he's offered you the fish for your defence. I think you've been sold up the river there, mate.
Aye, absolutely. So, no, rejected from me.
Get out of town. So, we're going to take a couple of questions from the comments here and keep them coming, guys, because we've got a good one. All right, this one's from Savvy Edits, and thank you for your comment. Right, Shug, trade Ramondre Stevenson and Rondale Moore for Amon-Ra St. Brown and Leonard Fournette.
I've always liked Fournette. I would probably go for that if you're getting Fournette. If you're Ned that's getting Fournette, I would probably go with that one.
This is a difficult one.
This is
a difficult one. For me, Ramondre Stevenson is a potential league winner if he keeps that job, despite Damien Harris being in and out with a hamstring injury. Rondale Moore maybe not done it. He's an okay player that'll probably start and go on your bench week in, week out, backwards and forwards. Fournette, to me, looks like he's going to not lose his job there. I think he's going to start to share a lot more snaps with Rachaad White. So for me, it depends what you're desperate for. If you've got more running backs that could fill in, then I would do it. But nah, I really like Ramondre Stevenson. I think he should be starting in everybody's team, despite who's got him. I don't really fancy Fournette. The Bucks aren't putting up much points. Amon-Ra St. Brown just back from an injury. No, I wouldn't be doing that. I'd be rejecting that. What are you thinking? Are you saying yes and I'm saying no?
I would probably say yes. I would go with him. I've always kind of liked Fournette, so I'm going to go with it. You might reject. I'll accept.
Thumbs down for me.
Thumbs up.
I don't know what you got to do now. Oh, we're rejecting. We're going with me. That's good. Aye. Next comment we've got comes from Jamie McRae, aka Toasty. I'm just here for producer Dave. What are we saying to that, Shug? That's an automatic thumbs down.
Guys, I'm so sorry. I don't know how that got in there. That's crazy. I thought I'd cancelled that one.
I wonder how it got in there. I wonder who'd be in control of that.
Aye.
If we get any more questions, let's see. Cordarelle Patterson, imagine we didn't have a corrupt commissioner. He'd be starting for me.
I've got to agree wholeheartedly with Toasty here. For anybody that missed it, there was a wee bit of controversy along the trade. The commissioner, who's Kieran, tried to have a bit of a laugh with Drew, and he should have ended up on Toasty's team. Again, controversy. I'm for one siding with Toasty, for the one and only. I'm agreeing that he's been done at a very big player there.
This is like the time Vince McMahon and Stone Cold shook hands in the middle of the ring. Join forces. This isn't happening. The backstory of it was, so as commissioner, I can veto trades and I can approve them because there has been a bit of controversy in the past involving the man across from me and the man comment. So that's the reason this came into place. Anyway, Drew said he's offered me Dulcich, the tight end for the Broncos, for Cordarelle Patterson. I'm going to accept it, but when it comes through, veto it. So the veto should last 48 hours. I don't know what happened, but through the night I woke up and the trade had went through. So I had to go in and put it back, and everybody said their apologies, but some people hold grudges, and here we are.
It opens the question, do people do that? And what do people like? I'd like to hear in the comments, kind of in the leagues, do they have a system with that, where the commissioner has that power, or do they just let any trades go? For me, we've got to take the power away from the commissioner.
I'd love to hear the horror stories of a commissioner trying to rig it for himself. That's just went fully
What
out
do you mean
his
the
way.
horror stories? You rig it every year.
Not a chance. Not a chance. But we'll not hang about here. Even more to get through. So let's have a wee look at what we've got here. We're going to move on to the injury news, and the one that's completely top of the story here, and it's probably the one folk have been waiting to hear. Josh Allen, the biggest player in fantasy football right now. He was out of practice yesterday. He's also sat out of practice today with a UCL sprain in his elbow. For me, if he sat out yesterday and he sat out today, everything points to him not playing this weekend, Shug.
Yeah.
Where do you go from here in fantasy football? It looks like Case Keenan was going to step in as a backup.
Yeah. It's one that could lead to a serious injury. I think the Bills will be extra cautious about this one. They've got to think about him long term. He's the main man. I think you're going to look. I think by the looks of it, it looks as if they'll try and sit him for 1 week, possibly 2, and hope that he recovers to full health. I don't think they'll risk him. I think they'll hope that they have enough to keep him out for those couple of weeks. So if you've got him in the team, I would certainly not be getting rid of him. I'd keep him on your bench, but I'd be looking around for another quarterback to come and fill in for a couple of weeks.
The difficulty with this is that you're going to have Lamar Jackson owners who's on a bye this week who have picked up a backup. You're also going to have Joe Burrow owners who have picked a backup. So if you've not planned ahead here, you're going to be left with slim pickings, especially at this point in the season. For me, I'm a Lamar Jackson owner. I've picked up Jimmy Garoppolo. I like his matchup this week. Looks like Deebo Samuel's going to be back. You get CMC in that backfield who he likes to throw passes to as well as his running game. So Jimmy Garoppolo for me stands out there. Anyone else you think might be on waivers that folks should take a look at or try and trade for?
And the quarterback department?
Yep.
I always like, as I said, Kirk Cousins has been a solid quarterback for me. I think he's always worth a look at, but he's up against Buffalo this week, so it's a tough matchup for him. So I think looking around, I think, as you said, it's slim pickings. But if you can get somebody,
I know somebody. I'm going to tell
Mario
you one here.
If you can pick him up.
Yeah, Mario. Maybe tonight. The only thing I think tonight is that they're going to run it a lot. So I don't, unless he gets a lot of rushing yards. I'm thinking maybe Daniel Jones up against the Texans might be a good option. Yeah. I'm also thinking this might sound crazy, but Andy Dalton for the Saints against the Steelers.
Yeah,
could be a solid pickup, but Saints quarterback position, you just never know, but I think it will be Andy Dalton this week. I don't think there's much doubt around that. But another quarterback that could miss out this week, Matthew Stafford, is in the concussion protocol for the Rams. They're going to be pretty, I don't know, prime real estate this week, the quarterbacks. So if you look at this, like Matthew Stafford might not start in a lot of teams. You've already got Jackson out. You've got Burrow out. It looks like Allen's going to be out. That's 4 away right away. Waiver wires are going to be busy, and especially at this point in the season, go and get what you can.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't. I think by the signs of it, I don't think he'll play. I think get what you can, as you said. Try and pick up somebody else that could be a reliable backup in there.
Yeah, for Stafford owners, maybe not the same as Josh Allen owners, that you'd be crazy not to have a backup there, considering that his form's not been very good this season at all. So the chances are you would probably have a quarterback in terms of Stafford, but it's another quarterback down. That's if he plays or not, but at the moment he's in that concussion protocol. Another quarterback carrying an injury, he didn't participate yesterday in practice. I think he was limited today, was Kyler Murray. They're falling like flies right now, dropping like flies, should I say. Murray's been less than impressive this season, Shug, don't you think?
Yeah, again, in normal circumstances, I wouldn't be hanging my hat on him, but he's struggling with a hamstring injury. Now, I think he'll probably play, but again, I would try and have somebody else on standby just in case, because I think it's one you're probably going to have to keep an eye on the next couple of days. He's not impressed, and is he going to play at his potential carrying that hamstring injury? I'm not so sure. So he's one, again, you've got to try and get somebody else in if you've got him. But slim pickings, as you said, we're working our way down the list.
Yeah, and in terms of Murray as well, when you consider the injury is a hamstring injury and you consider how he plays a game, a lot of it is based around his legs. So you may feel if you've got James Conner, who looks to be back to full fitness, or you've got even Eno Benjamin, there's a possible chance that they're going to run the ball quite a lot. But for Murray, it's one to keep an eye on. I think he'll make it, but it's one to keep an eye on. Certainly, if you can get a quarterback given, there's going to be a bit of a rush to get them. With buys and injuries, then I'd be going to back that one up. But Aaron Jones, Shug, Drew had him as his bust on Monday. He was limited in practice, so I actually think this is a promising sign for the Green Bay Packers that he's limited, because it looked a bad one.
Yeah, it looks if he was out, but I think he will play. It's not how much they're relying on this week. I expect AJ Dillon to play a huge role. So if you've not got him, maybe worth going out and getting him. I think they'll share it. So again, not one I'd be relying on this week. Could be another bust week for him, but I think he will play.
Yeah, I agree. I think he'll play as well. But I would be backing up AJ Dillon. You're bang on the money with that. You just don't know how he's going to react, especially on an ankle injury. Being a running back, we're quite explosive off the ground. That you don't know if that's going to have a bearing on how explosive and how agile he is. So for me, keep a wee eye on it. But if you can trade for AJ Dillon, I would certainly be doing that, but don't pay at a high cost. A wee bit better news, considering the running back situation. Eli Mitchell has been designated off of IR and looks to be returning for the 49ers. Now, this is quite a tricky one, Shug, considering that since he's been out since week 1, they've brought in CMC. Is this when you're taking out your stashed IR spot on your roster and putting in straight away, or is it a case of let's wait and see how he works with Mitchell and CMC? Because this is going to be very interesting for fantasy owners.
I would wait and see, because even though he's back, he's still not, until we've seen how it's going to work, he's still not particularly fantasy relevant, especially with CMC there. So he's not one I'd be rushing to get in my team. He's not one I'd be relying on. I'd see how it pans out for the next couple of weeks. I wouldn't be rushing to put any kind of hope on him.
Yeah, it's a funny one. I've had him since week 1. I thought he was going to be brilliant this year. Deebo Samuel always seems to pick up injuries here and there. I know he's been limited in practice this week with a hamstring injury. I actually believe he trained in full today, if I'm correct. But it's the 49ers just look unbelievable despite all the injuries that they've had. I think Garoppolo's done okay. Quarterback coming in and replacing Trey Lance, who it looked like they had hung their hat on into the leg break. Mitchell's now back. They've got CMC. Brandon Ayuk's been superb. George Kittle's back. And Deebo Samuel coming back. The 49ers are a real force, man. So, Deebo Samuel, like we said there, hamstring injury. Looks like he's back. The most exciting player in the NFL for me. He's got it all. Would you be trying to trade for him? I know he's sitting in the 30s just now as a wide receiver. I don't know if his stock's up or down. It's one of these ones where he kind of sits in the middle for me, given what they've got offensively at the moment.
Yeah, I think they're starting to. I would probably take a chance on him and go for him at this stage. I mean, that's when you get people at a decent value. He's definitely, as you said, an exciting guy. A guy could produce in the later stages of the season. So I would say he is possibly worth a punt while you can get him at sort of a good value. Again, it's one of those ones, as you said, that hangs in the balance. Not sure how he's going to be, but he's back in full training. He'll play more apart. I would potentially take a wee chance on him.
Yeah, I tried to get him actually. I tried to offer Steve-O. Well, I was going to offer Devonta Smith until I noticed that he's got AJ Brown. I thought Devonta Smith was about the level of Samuel. Obviously got knocked back, didn't it? So what we'll do after the injuries, we'll come back to all your questions. So if you've got any questions regarding any potential trades or your lineups, dilemmas, fire them in, send them in the comments, and we'll get to them. We'll read out the best of them. But we'll move on to the next sort of injury latest. Jonathan Taylor, we touched on it near the start of the show. Shug, he's limited, but he is back in training. So I know you said to drop Deon Jackson, and this backs it up. What are you saying to Jonathan Taylor owners right now?
Again, I'd be promising signs. All seems to be positive. I would be looking at. I'd get him in your team just now, but I'd be keeping an eye on his status as the game draws closer. But he's one that I think could be a promising one for you this week.
Yeah, for me, if I'm being really honest, given that he's been injured this year and given his production before he was injured, there's a chance I'd be selling low on him. There's a chance I'd be trying to get rid of him, and his name would probably get you a bit of stock in trade terms. I'd be trying to get rid of him for a decent running back.
Possibly, but I would stick with him, to be honest with you. I think, as I said, the signs are looking positive. I don't like to sell low. I like to give these guys a chance. Keep him in your team. See how he does.
You're the Sir Alex Ferguson of fantasy football.
Bit of loyalty to these guys.
That's it. All the faith in your players. But no, we'll carry on. Ja'Marr Chase, still unsure whether he's going to go on IR. Hip injury. They're on a bye this week. Probably a good sign that they're on a bye this week, considering that the injury that he's got and that they've not put him on IR, and they might feel that he'll be fit for next week. Everything points to that. It could come back sooner than expected. What are you doing in terms of getting a replacement in there? There's nobody around that level in terms of, unless you're talking Justin Jefferson or Cooper Kupp, but in terms of a backup, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, one of the two of them.
Yeah, I've just put in there. We've been saying, I think we said last week or when I can't remember, but we said about Higgins and Boyd. Owners of them will continue to benefit from this. I don't see Ja'Marr Chase coming back too soon. I don't see him playing too big a part before the end of the season based on the injury. So I would be. Again, it's one of those ones because of his high profile, because you're not going to get somebody at that level. So your choices are either stick with him and hope he produces at the end of the season, or you've got to try and find a wee gem, and maybe stash him, or maybe try and get a trade. For me, I'd be looking to move him on. I'd be looking to do the latter. I think the writing's on the wall for him.
You just love to trade, man.
Oh, aye. Roll the dice. Yeah, I'm out.
So if you're moving him on, what are you looking for Ja'Marr Chase?
The world.
Ja'Marr Chase with no time scale to return, and you want the world. That sounds about right.
That's a difficult one. I don't really think it's very tough to get value there. Very tough to get value. I think you've got to be a sort of write-off there. You've got to find somebody that's willing to take a wee gamble on him. But I wouldn't be too optimistic in the trades you're hoping for there.
Yeah, okay. Couple more. Keenan Allen, right? He's still injured. No timetable when he's going to come back. He's been out since week 1. Is it time you just cut your losses and just...
Time to drop.
Aye. It's a case of it kind of taking up a roster spot. He's clogging somebody's roster. He could be getting someone else in. I know this week I had to drop, believe it or not, Melvin Gordon to get a kicker in because my kicker's on a bye week and there was just no space. There must be Keenan Allen owners out there thinking, right, it's just time to cut the cord and get him gone because nobody really knows.
I think so. The way it kind of looks just now, I mean, he was out, he came back in, he's back out again. When the season starts to go like that, it's very tough to turn it around because then the coach and the team have left with the sort of decision: do we rush him back and keep this stop-starting season going, or do we keep him out for a couple of weeks and hope that he makes the end of the season? So for me, it doesn't look great for him. I'd be cutting my losses and looking to move on, to be honest. I think he's a big player, he's a big presence in that team, but I think the writing's on the wall for the season, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you. He's clogged up a roster spot for too long for folk. You've got Mike Williams, haven't you?
Yeah. Again, I'm thinking similar with him. It looked bad news that Allen was coming back in. and then he got injured as well. So I'm probably in the same position where I don't see him producing anything.
We've got another comment on the screen here. Someone in our league saying, mate, I was offering kickers, you could have got one. There's no chance that I am giving a running back that could potentially do something to someone above me in the league that's got a kicker. So that would have got kicked right out a touch. So no, Allen out for the season. I think the only other thing we need to touch on, which is news that's come in relatively recently before we started, Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow have been placed on IR by the Raiders. It's a huge blow for them, but they've even sacked their coach this week. No, in fact, they didn't. Sorry, that was a rubbish account. So for the Raiders, I think if you've got Devontae Adams or even Matt Collins for that matter, you're starting both of them. Of course, you're going to start Adams, but in terms of Matt Collins, then Hunter Renfrow being out, Waller being out, it's a tough run in now for the Raiders, isn't it?
Huge blow for the Raiders. They've just had a pretty much bar a couple of games of an awful season, and it just points to it being a write-off, to be honest. But you're right, you can still get very, very good production at those guys now.
Yeah, absolutely. But we'll take a couple more questions from the comments, okay? Oh, right. Sutton or Gabe Davis, full PPR? This is a tough one. I'm going to go Gabe Davis. He is frustrating the life out of me at the moment. Difficult one with Josh Allen being out, but at the same time, he's up against the Vikings, who are also a very decent defence. Sutton, for me, is playing in a very poor offence. I don't expect Russell Wilson to do anything this season. I think it's gone. So yeah, I'm going to go Gabe Davis here, but for me, both of them haven't been great. Gabe Davis edges it. What about you?
I'd probably disagree. I think, again, you've said Davis has been frustrating. He's in a Buffalo team that's stacked the options. Don't really see him throwing up too many points for you. Sutton, on the other hand, we spoke about earlier. You don't really fancy him for this week, but there is a chance because he is against the Titans defense that's ranked pretty poorly. He could get opportunities in there. He could later on in the season prove some, get some decent points up for you. So I would probably go Sutton, but again, neither of them are really going to make or break your season, I don't think.
Yeah, so thanks for your question, Connor. I am going to go Gabe Davis.
Sutton
I think that's a thumbs up. Sutton for you. We'll agree to disagree. News as well coming in. Jonathan Taylor actually practiced in full today. So in terms of you saying to drop Deon Jackson, that's probably going to prove to be 100% correct, Shug, given that JT practiced in full.
It's good we've got our very own Kent Brockman coming with the recent news while we're doing this.
I did actually look this one up, guys, and there's a few reputable sources that do say that he did train in full today.
That's good. Good to hear. So let's see. Have we got any more questions, David?
Nothing just yet.
Nothing just yet. Right. Okay. We'll move on to the next part of the show. We spoke about it on Monday, and it is really gathering pace. Odell Beckham Jr. Shug to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
This looks like it's really gathering pace. Jerry Jones coming out this week. Not so much backing the move, but he didn't deny it either. Can you see it happening?
I can see it happening, and I think it's a good move for all parties. I think, as I spoke about earlier, the Cowboys, Dak's really starting to hit form. Beckham could fit in there nicely, and he could do really well for the Cowboys. So I think his addition probably takes the Cowboys, would make them pretty serious contenders, I would say, if he can produce the goods. Now, I picked him up right after we spoke on Monday. I went and picked him up in the leagues. Got to move quickly. So he's on my bench just now, obviously, until he finds a team. But I've picked him up. I would advise anybody in the league, take a chance on this guy. You know what he can produce. He's worth it just now. Even if he doesn't, he's worth to have on your bench as an option to see how this thing progresses. But I think him going to Cowboys is a very good move.
Yeah, for me, when we went round the room on Monday and said the potential landing spots, for me, I think I agreed with you that the Cowboys was the place that he was going to land and that it would be the best move for him. Given that Michael Gallup's been more cold than he has hot this season, CD Lamb as well, he's not exactly been a fantasy football superstar. Beckham, decent enough stash there. But we're not hanging around because we're thinking the Bills, the Packers, or the Cowboys. For me, Cowboys is a better move. If you want a Super Bowl, you go to the Bills, avoid the Packers. But we're not hanging around too long here. We're getting plenty of viewers coming in. Guys, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. We do this every Thursday night. We get a podcast out of every Tuesday morning as well. Get involved with us. We really appreciate everyone that's watching as well. And get your questions in there. Get your questions into the comments. We're really enjoying answering them. But we'll move on, Shug. Another funny one, okay? This weekend, we will see the first game in the NFL regular season played in Munich. A huge occasion where they get to see the King live in person, Kenneth Walker.
Yeah.
Hopefully, because I don't know if you've read the news this week, he's not got a passport.
Yeah, it's one of these crazy stories that come up now. From what I'm reading, it's obviously it's embarrassing, but I think they will get it resolved in time. Now, it's for me, it kind of sums up the logistical issues that there might be. We've spoken about before about franchise overseas. The NFL doesn't have experience. They don't have years upon years of experience of a lot of games abroad. And these wee things are going to come up. These wee admin issues, these wee technical issues that slip through the cracks. A lot of Americans don't have passports. It's just a fact that a lot of them don't travel. Now, it does seem a daft one, but it's probably more teething problems because it hasn't been that long that NFL have been playing abroad, and it's probably one of these issues that's going to come up as more regular games come.
Can you imagine that going into Pete Carroll's office like, by who, I've got a bit of an issue, I've not got a passport.
I know you would think, you'd think at the start of the season, now somebody is getting a lot of bother for that. Probably not Kenneth Walker, probably a member of staff that deals with the admin side of things is probably getting a lot of bother for that. But I think, again, you're so used to NFL being slick and well run, just there's always wee stories come up like this, isn't there?
Yeah, I'm right in saying he's not got one as opposed to he lost it.
Yeah, it sounds like he doesn't have one. Now, as I say, that's quite common for Americans. Don't do a lot of travelling. There's a lot in their own country, so it's just. I think it's just one of these things. As we said, we thought we just see the slick operation of the NFL abroad, but there probably is these wee issues that come up all the time for them.
Imagine this star running back getting sent to the passport office to sit around all day to see if they can get my passport. Where are you off to, mate? Germany.
Imagine it just showed up at the airport. Just showed at the airport. I've not got one.
He ran it. Yeah, he could run it.
It's interesting. No, you just feel as if they've probably got ways and means of doing it, right? But it just shows you compared to the average Joe blogs. A couple of days before his holiday, realise he's not got his passport. Tough luck if it's busy. When it's NFL players, they'll always find a way, won't they?
Absolutely, mate. Imagine this. Imagine he did get left at home, and the Seahawks done a sort of spoof of Home Alone. He's like Kevin McAllister. Do you know? I've just noticed there. Like one of the best running backs in the league is called Walker. He's a runner.
That's terrible for you.
That is terrible. But we'll not hang around too long. We'll move on to sort of the games this week and the predictions. Quick predictions. No timer on it this week, Shug. So, producer Dave, on you. Fire it up. Tonight, Atlanta Falcons, Carolina Panthers. I am going the Falcons. They're a decent team. The Panthers are poor. No other reason than that. Expect a big game for Cordarelle Patterson.
Yep, again, spoke about it earlier. I'm going to agree with that. I'm going to go with the Falcons to be flying tonight.
I see that.
Flying.
The Seahawks, Munich, 2:30 p.m. kickoff. For me, it's the Seahawks. The Seahawks all day. They've got too much. Gino Smith, like you said, in for a big game. Tampa Bay just don't seem to be firing at all. So Seahawks for me.
Yeah, big bit of respect in the Seahawks now. I don't rate the Tampa Bay Bucks for what they're doing just now. That don't look great. Seahawks to win for me as well.
Cleveland Browns at the Dolphins. On you go, mate.
Oh, Cleveland Browns at Dolphins. That's the easy one for me. The Dolphins, Tyreek Hill have another day. Tua show up. Dolphins all day.
I am going to go unpredictable. I'm going to go the Browns. Don't know
Oof.
why, no reason at all. I just don't seem to think if you predict the favourite all the time in the NFL, it happens. It doesn't. I'm going to go for a sneaky Browns win by 3.
Oof.
Denver Broncos at the Tennessee Titans. We've said that Courtland Sutton should be dropped for this one, and I'm going to stick with Titans. Titans for me.
Titans as well for me. Derrick Henry, I think, will rip it up. Titans will
I had a good stat actually that Derrick Henry scored something like 6 or 7 or every one of their touchdowns for the whole October. Okay, next up, the Detroit Lions going to the Chicago Bears. For me, the Bears are the team on form at the moment. Justin Fields is playing out his skin. I think you'll see Chase Claypool come up big in this game. The Lions, all right, it's the Lions. We don't know what to expect, but I think it'll be a good game.
Yeah, I'm going to go Bears as well. I think Fields, Montgomery, Herbert, Kmet, Claypool, Bears are starting to come together, and I fancy them.
Houston Texans at the New York Giants. I'm going the Giants because it's the Giants. Who are you picking?
It's hard to disagree. I want to because I want to wind you up, but fancy the Giants as well. Don't really like the Texans. Don't think they look as if they've got much about them. Giants to get on track.
They've got Rex Buckhead, mate. Jacksonville Jaguars at the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be a difficult one for the Jaguars going to Arrowhead. The Chiefs, for me, look like they're just kicking on and they're going about their business really nicely. Adding Kadarius Toney's a big one. So for me, the Chiefs, easy.
Yep, I actually think the Jags will run them close. I think they'll put up a decent show, but I think the Chiefs will edge it.
Yeah. Let's see. While we're doing this, actually, keep your questions coming in the comments. We'll get a couple more before we're finished. But the Vikings at the Buffalo Bills, right? Difficult one for me to call here, Shug. But I'm going to go for a shocker. I'm going to go for the Vikings, especially if Josh Allen's out. Buffalo, tough place to go, but I just fancy the Vikings to, once again, a team that slid right under the radar. I fancy the Vikings to win this one.
I'm going to agree with you. I really like the Bills. I think, though, if Josh Allen's out, they obviously were poor last week against the Jets. I think the Vikings could come up with a surprise here.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. We've already took the Giants for that, the both of us.
Just win again?
They're playing twice. They're that good, they're playing twice. So the Colts are away to the Raiders. This is that video on YouTube, 2 clowns fighting, isn't it?
Aye. A load of stolen cars just driving into each other.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Colts for this one to pick up the win at the Death Star. Jonathan Taylor's back in full training. Las Vegas Raiders today putting Renfro and Waller on IR. It looks like the end of the season properly for the Raiders. I'm going to go the Colts for this one.
Raiders.
Okay.
don't care.
I don't care. New Orleans Saints, Pittsburgh Steelers, easy one for me. It's the Saints. Although it could be an upset, I don't see it coming. The Saints are just a strong side. Chris Olave, Kamara, Mark Ingram, even Dalton, Andy Dalton at quarterback. Could be a good game. The Steelers, you're probably going to see a bit of Jalen Warren in that game as well. Yep, for me,
Aye.
Saints.
Steelers are dog meat. Saints to win.
Arizona Cardinals at the Rams. Call of Duty came out 2 weeks ago and the Cardinals have been 0-2. I'm going with the Rams on this one.
I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm going to go with the Cardinals to just peck away at them.
Yeah. Dallas Cowboys at the Green Bay Packers. Lambeau Field. I'm going to go Cowboys. I think Zeke might be back. I'm not too sure. But the Packers, like you said about the Steelers, I think the Packers are pretty dug meat as well. So yeah. I'm going Cowboys.
Hard to disagree. Again, Cowboys, I think, are really starting to hit a bit of form. Cowboys for me.
We've got the Chargers at the San Francisco 49ers. The late game this week on Sunday. For me, the 49ers just look unbelievable. The Chargers, Josh Palmer, if you've got him in your team in fantasy football, get him in there. He's a starter every day of the week with Williams and Keenan Allen out. 49ers, probably one of the best offense in the whole of football right now. For me, 49ers.
Same. CMC show. Deebo Samuel come back in. 49ers to win.
Okay, the last game of the weekend, we have got the Washington Commanders divisional game against the Eagles. I think this is an easy one. I hope for an upset for the sake of the division with the Giants, but the Eagles just look far too good this season. They look a strong side. A good chance with that run-in they could go undefeated. Easy Eagles for me, sadly.
Again, can't see past it. The bubble will burst at some point. They will have a bad result at some point, but I don't see it being this weekend. Eagles again.
Nice, mate, nice. And I think that covers all the fixtures for this weekend. So we will finish off with the game, which you crowned Tom Brady acting shady. We'll be given a clue from producer David, and it's up to me or Shug to come up with it to gain the points. So on you, David.
Right, yeah, as you said, it's the game is Tom Brady's acting shady. It's a cryptic riddle, and all I need from you is the answer, except the answer has to rhyme. So if I was to say to you that the Bucks quarterback is looking about dark alleys, you would say to me,
Tom Brady acting shady.
Exactly. Right, guys, I'll just get myself a wee scoreboard up here. My graphics have been all over the place today, so anything could happen.
You've been as good as ever, mate.
That's what happens when you go live. Right, first one up. Your clue is Steelers bust running back has decided to take a trip to the French capital.
Najee Harris goes to Paris.
Whoa. I could. I mean, you were definitely right. The kind of clue was there with the bust. You know what? It was so difficult to call. I'm just going to give you both a point.
Oh, there you go. I was first.
All right, I've changed my mind. Kieran doesn't get the point.
Oh, yeah! What is this, primary school?
Next one up, guys. Your clue is Bengals injured wide receiver is walking around with loose footwear. It's someone we've already mentioned today. Who do we talk about in the injuries?
Jamar Chase without a lace.
Close enough, I'll give it to you. It's Jamar Chase can't tie his lace.
That should be 2-1 to me. Should be 2-0 to me.
Listen, do you want to lose another point?
I take a point off.
Right, your third one, guys. The undefeated NFC East team have given up football to mate popular hunting dogs. It's a bit of a tricky one.
The Philadelphia Eagles are mating the Eagles.
Nah, breeding. You've got to go breeding.
You have got to go breeding.
Yeah!
You have got to go breeding.
I've seen he gets a shacking question, right?
Right, guys. Next one.
Okay.
Green Bay Packers wide receiver missed game week 8 so that he could throw bread to a common type of duck. Bit of a thinker.
This is.
So who missed game week 8 from the Packers? That'll kind of give you half of it.
Wide receiver game week 8. I'm not going to go to comments because that's unfair. If anybody's got it, write it in the comments. Green Bay Packers wide receiver missed game.
Toasty is on fire in the comments, by the way.
So that he could throw bread to a common type of duck. So what is a common type of duck? I know the wide receiver, I just don't know the duck.
Yeah.
I'll pass.
Looking at this, Toasty's got it.
Okay.
Look, he's cheating.
I'm not cheating.
No one?
No. Oh, that's terrible.
Oh, right. It's Alan Lazard is beating a mallard. Alan Lazard is beating a mallard. A mallard is a common type of duck.
the Mallard used to be a pub in Cumbernauld that you wouldn't go near for love nor money.
Right. This is the last
split
one.
the bill?
So just to let you know, it's 2-1 at the moment to Shug. Bit controversial, but it is. So this last one is all to play for.
Right, okay.
Jags starting wide receiver is getting lessons on this popular raunchy dance move. Jags starting wide receiver is getting lessons.
Christian Kirk is starting to twerk.
Yeah.
He's learning to twerk. Love it.
Good. So, it's a bit of a boring one this week for you, I'm afraid, guys. It's 2 to Kyran and 2 to Shug.
We all know really it's 3-2. We all know it's 3-2. Right. We'll kick on anyway. Thank you to everyone that's tuned in, everyone that's listened and commented as well. We've got one last question here from the comments. I don't know if you've seen this one, David. So pick 2 full PPR. Okay, the choices, Shug, are DJ Moore, Josh Palmer, Donta Foreman, McCole Hardman, or Jeff Wilson. Now, I know McCole Hardman. Hardman is carrying an injury. Am I right in saying that?
I believe it is. I would go out of those 2. DJ Moore for me to say it.
I don't know though, because remember tonight the weather conditions, they're probably not going to throw the ball too much. Donta Foreman, for me, they're going to run it. They're going to run it quite a lot. I'm going to go for that one. Josh Palmer, loving Josh Palmer just now, without Williams or Allen. So I'm going to say Palmer and Foreman. Jeff Wilson, good guy to have in your team, but it's still running back by committee at the Dolphins. So did you say like Moore?
I do like Moore, yeah, but as you said, the weather. I'm going to go Palmer, and I think Wilson. I'm going to go Wilson.
Yeah, so Josh Palmer definitely. Toss a coin between Donta Foreman and Jeff Wilson, I say. There's not going to be much between them, possibly.
Yeah.
But no, that's all for tonight. Thank you to everyone that's tuned in. If you're a new listener, please remember to subscribe. Come back every week. We really enjoy it. Shug, it's been a good laugh, hasn't it?
Yep, and there's good news. Toasty in the comments just said he'll give his point that he got for the duck one to me, so I win the game.
Nah, that's not happening. But no, thank you very much. And